Big talking point, because in the last year, 1 in 15 older teenagers have carried or used a weapon. The findings came from the UK Millennium Cohort Study that's following the lives of thousands of children who were born in the home nations in 2000 to 2002. Let's get more on this now. Sheldon Thomas is a former gang member, now runs Gangsline, which helps and supports young men and women involved in gang culture. Good morning to you, Sheldon. Why is so many teens carrying weapons, and what can be done, essentially?
I think first we have to understand the life that they live in at the moment. They live in a parallel world, and in that world, they have their own rules, their own law and order, and their law and order is based on, that they've been violated or violation has taken place. That means somebody has insulted them on social media or in school. And so what they tend to do is carry weapons to defend themselves, or in some cases carry weapons because they're part of a gang. We have to change society, and society only can change if society is willing to change, because we've got to understand that the young people who are involved in this lifestyle, and it's not all of them, but the ones who are, don't feel a sense of love at home. So they go searching for love. They don't feel wanted in society. So society doesn't really offer young people a lot of stuff. And these gang members, these drug dealers, offer them the world, money, clothes, that kind of lifestyle. So many carry it for different reasons. Some carry it to be in a gang, some carry it because they're drug dealers, some carry it because they're scared, some carry it because they don't want to join the gang. But we have to change society.
Absolutely. I mean, oftentimes when we talk about young people carrying weapons, lots of people then say that the answer should be a more proactive stop and search policy by the police. But oftentimes that's also accused of kind of, when we over-police communities, that actually kind of entrenches this behaviour. What would your view be on that?
Well, there's no evidence to say stop and search deters knife crime. It doesn't. What's going to deter knife crime is, one, more parenting control. Now, some people are not going to want to hear this, but most of these young kids who are carrying weapons are under the age of 18. They're out late at night. I've got a couple of cases where we've had 13 and 14-year-old kids who are out at 1 o'clock in the morning. The question then becomes, what is the parents doing? We can't keep looking at police officers as the solution. You can't arrest our way out of this. We have got to look at this as a societal problem, which is parents, schools, the government. Everyone has to play their part. But more importantly, parents have to play their part. If you haven't got control of your son or daughter, how are you expecting the state to control them? We have got to look at what are we doing to minimize our kids getting involved. One of the things we have to do as parents is that we've got to check what our kids are doing on social media. We've got to investigate who their friends are, because many of these young people are hanging out with people their parents don't know who they are. Secondly, we need to stop doing sleepovers at other people's houses, because the young people use that as an excuse to go to counting lines and sell drugs. So we've got to find out, one, as parents, who are the friends of our children and who are the parents of those friends. That's one of the things we can do. The other thing we can do is check what our kids are doing on social media. Lots of threats are used on Snapchat, Instagram, and all these social media platforms to send threats to other young people. And bullying is done online. Sexual behavior is done online. Lots of things needs to be addressed, but that has to be addressed from the parents as well as the schools. So education is key.
Absolutely, and also more needs to be done as a parent on social media, those platforms, to control this as well. Sheldon, just tell us quickly about Gangsline, what you do, how you offer education and support to these people, and also to the parents as well.
Well, what Gangsline does, we're just a handful of organisations throughout the country that does what we do, which is we employ former gang members so that our message becomes credible. We go into primary schools, secondary school, people referral units, colleges and universities. I deliver lectures at universities, so I'm a part-time lecturer. I also deliver frontline training. So I train all frontline staff across the country. That's what we do. The other thing we do is we run an online program, the very first of its kind, where we have specifically designed an online training program for the NHS medical staff. Because what we have to realize is they're the first respondent. They are the ones who come into contact with victims and perpetrators of gang violence, knife crime, stabbings and shootings. So because they come into contact with them first, when they're vulnerable and in an emotional state, we believe that if we have medical staff that are trained to engage these young people, to understand the culture of gangs, to understand the culture of ethnic minority groups who may be involved and poor white communities, we stand a better chance of saving the lives of children. So our program is going to be available in 2 weeks' time online for all NHS staff to look and send their to get their training. Because to be honest, we all have a part to play. Even you two sitting in the studio, you have your part to play, because we've got to change the narrative of how we see young people. If we're not offering young people a future, gang members will, drug dealers will, and we are not offering young kids a future. The apprenticeship scheme is an example. They're paying £5 an hour with no guarantee of a job. How can we expect young kids to do 9 GCSEs, sit A-levels, but we're not offering them a decent job at the end of it? So we have to look at this from a societal point of view if we really want to have an impact on young people not carrying weapons.
Sheldon, there's often a lot of kind of pearl clutching about like drill music and grime music and the role that that plays in kind of glamorising this lifestyle. But you haven't mentioned that as one of the kind of reasons why you think young people do kind of fall into gang life. I mean, do you think that it's just kind of overreaction when people say things like that? Or do you think that that genre of music can be accused of glamorising this way of life?
Trap and drill definitely glamorizes gangster lifestyle. There's no doubt about that. The reason why you might find some people from some quarters not saying that is because they have an interest in the music themselves. But if you look at it objectively from outside, the influence of trap and drill is detrimental. In fact, we have more middle-class white kids who are getting involved in county lines because of trap and drill music. So people need to understand the influence of trap and drill is the language of the streets. We've got white kids who act and think they're black. We've got poor white kids who think and act and think they're black, and Asian kids. The culture has changed because the music is done, trap and drill is done by or produced by 90% of the young people involved are black artists. They're young black kids. So a lot of white kids listen to this music and believe in the music. So society has changed. We're no longer in a society where blacks and whites are separate. Young children don't see color like that. So you've got white kids who think they're black. You've got poor and rich white kids who think they're black because of the music they're listening to. So the music is an influence. And don't get me wrong, I am not suggesting that white kids should not listen to black music. That is not what I'm saying. Yeah. But when you assimilate a culture of gang violence or gangsterism, then I would say that music cannot be good because you're assimilating a culture you clearly don't understand. So I would say trap and drill plays a significant part as to why we're in this mess today.